Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everyone. It's been a while since I've done any updates, so I figure I'll do hopefully not too long video on what's been going on with me. First, I want to start it off with a homebrew that was sent to me by Jonathan, one of my subscribers, and he sent me out his first homebrew, which is a Saison. So he sent me some notes on this. He said it was a kit they bought from Brooklyn Homebrews out on the East Coast. They subbed in Kent Goldings for the I can't never pronounce it, Goldings, and they used the French yeast instead of the Belgian Saison yeast. And he warned me ahead of time to be careful with it because they've had a bunch of gushers, and indeed this one did gush on me. I opened over the sink, and I tried to go real slow, and then as soon as I got most of the seal off, it just started coming up. So I didn't end up with a ton of beer left, but we'll take a look at this. It's very hazy because all the yeast is in there. I mean, it smells that Saison. It's got a big fruity character to it. Little like touch of that clovey, spicy character. You know, touch of pepperiness, like almost a hint of banana. Getting like a lot of like pear, apricot. Almost a cinnamon-y spicy note the more I kind of dig in. That might be the, I don't know, maybe some of the hops coming through. There's definitely a little bit of like a lemony character, some earthiness. So it smells pretty good. Let's dig in. Yeah, big, huge carbonation. Yeah, now you said in the email that you overprimed this beer, and I'm wondering if maybe it just didn't even finish out fermenting, because you got to really keep track of these Saisons and where their finishing gravity is, and make sure that they actually did, complete fermentation. Because he said it was just over 3 weeks, which, might be long enough for most ales, but sometimes these Saisons, if they don't get up to the right temperature, it might slowly work their way down to lower and lower finishing gravity. So, next time just kind of monitor that, see where you're at, because, I mean, you mentioned about maybe just too much priming sugar, which could definitely result into beer doing this too, but could be fermentation as well. But, yeah, it's solid beer. It follows the nose pretty well. He did a partial mash with this. Partial mash kits, great way to get started in home brewing. I was just kind of looking on the website. They're trying to make it more of a French-style farmhouse ale. Character of rye malt, definitely getting that spiciness, Saaz hop, Saison yeast. So I guess he might have subbed out the Saaz for something else, but it's, for first beer, it's definitely drinkable. Unfortunately, you have to deal with gushing bottles of it. But it's got some good flavor to it. So I mean, you keep working on it. Maybe not the easiest beer to start with, that's for sure. So maybe kind of step back from the next one, do something a little simple, just simple ale, and you won't have to worry about gushing bottles, hopefully. And you definitely learn from this experience as well. As far as what's going on with me, I've been brewing every other week for it seems like the last 6 weeks, maybe. It's been hard to keep track, at least 5 weeks. I did a batch coconut IPA that I took out to the Homebrewers Conference that I talked about. Then I brewed up 2 batches of my Imperial Stout with slight tweaks. Both of those are now finally into my bourbon barrel. I racked that into the barrel this past weekend, and hopefully that doesn't go sour on me. I'm going to check on it once a month for the next few months, see where it's at. I had a friend that put his stout in the same barrel. He did 3 months with his. I might push mine a little longer. We'll see how it goes. And then I just brewed up another batch of the coconut IPA that I wanted to have available for the release of the stone version. So that's currently dry hopping. I actually need to go clean the keg and get that ready to rack in and carb it up and get the coconut in there. So that recipe, I took the hops we used in the stone version, which are different than the homebrew version, and then but I did make one substitution. I subbed in Citra for Simcoe. We couldn't get Citra for the stone version, so we had it wasn't a direct substitute with the Simcoe, but I decided to take the 5 different hops that are in the stone version and sub out the Simcoe for Citra. Other than that, it's the same hops. I managed to find them all. A couple of them are pretty lesser known hops like Belma and Helga. So I'll have that version to compare side by side with the stone version, which I have tried. It's been packaged. The release date is July 29th. So, it's been apparently late last week, maybe early this week, it was shipping out to, across the country to all those markets. At least that's what they told me. So hopefully you'll get it sooner rather than later after a release date. That being said, it is a little more bitter than we'd like at this point, so it's not necessarily a big deal if you don't get to try it right away. Because I think we're hoping the bitterness sort of mellows out a bit, and then I'll kind of let the coconut shine through more, because it was a big, difficult process to get the coconut into the beer, and when we initially tried it wasn't quite to the level that we liked, but it's as good as they were able to do on Stone's system. So keep that in mind when you're drinking it. I'll probably do another vlog about that beer. And I just brewed up this past weekend a saison. I got a hold of the White Labs 585. It's the Belgian Saison 3 yeast, which I've heard a lot of great things about. So I picked up a vial while I was at the White Labs tasting room, and I'm really looking forward to this beer. The starter I made smelled awesome. It had that stone fruit, almost tropical fruit character to it. It wasn't as peppery as other saison yeasts were. It had a slight hint of a tart sort of Belgian yeast funk character to it as well. So I have high expectations for this beer. I did an interesting combination of hops. I kind of took from all over the place. I used Czech Saaz for bittering, and then a late addition, and then other late additions include Aramis, which is a French hop, a newer French hop, that I looked up flavor profile, thought it would work well in the saison. And I used Pacifica from New Zealand, thought that might work well in saison as well. And then just because it's probably my favorite hop, I wanted some more tropical fruit, that passion fruit kind of character, just a little bit of that in the saison. So I put some Galaxy in it, Flame Out. So that's fermenting away right now. And I'm debating about my next beer being a Berliner Weiss, because I did buy a vial of Lactobacillus from White Labs as well. So kind of have to figure out how I want to approach that beer at this point. There's a lot of methods. At the Homebrewers conference, I have a little postcard that Weiss did, and they made a Portlander Weiss, and they have the recipe on the back. And I was thinking of maybe tweaking this recipe slightly. Hopefully the camera will focus in on that and you can kind of get an idea. But this was a zero hopped kind of take on a Berliner Weiss. And they use German ale yeast, and they use their Lactobacillus strain. And I might do traditional overnight mash kind of thing, hold it high temps because there's Lactobacillus on the grain. But I'm definitely going to be pitching in some bacteria to the beer. So I'm still trying to figure that out. If you have any ideas, or if you've made some really good Berliner Weisses, let me know what your method was to make them, and I'll definitely take that into consideration. So thanks again for Jonathan sending out the beer to me. I'll finish this up, but I'm going to wrap up this video right now. Until next time, cheers.